guess what time it is, guys? It's time for early scouting report on Jaxson Dart here.
Ooh.
Oh, look at that segue that you didn't even know you were giving us here.
Yeah.
So same as like I said, we did a whole episode there about a month ago, I'm guessing now, with Dash and Big Dash Knows, where we went over I think about 7 or 8 different quarterbacks, and one of the ones we didn't include was Dart, and a lot of people kept asking us our opinion on him. So let's get into it here. So Jaxson was born in Kaysville, Utah, back in 2003. He started high school at Roy High School, which sounds weird. It sounds like I know Roy could be a last name as well, but it sounds like you named somebody. Like, you imagine, like, who is this? Oh, this is Jim High School. High School Jim? No, it's Jim. Jim's the name. Anyway, Roy High School for 3 years before transferring to Corner Canyon High School in Draper, Utah for his senior season. Hoping I'm fine. Draper, I don't know. That year he threw for 4,691 yards, 67 touchdowns, which was a state record and still is, with only 4 interceptions. He also rushed for 1,195 yards and 12 touchdowns. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year and Max Prep's National Player of the Year. He was also a 2-time All-State third baseman as well in high school. So 2-sport athlete there. He trained with former ASU quarterback Taylor Kelly in Tempe and received an offer from Arizona State. So everybody just kind of anticipated he'd go there, but instead he opted for USC. So his freshman year, he was the backup for Keaton Clovis. Some of you guys remember him. He did go in the draft a couple of years ago. Ended up playing 6 games that season. So 6 games, 3 starts. Went 117 for 189, so a 61.9 completion percentage, 1,353 yards, 9 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 22 rushes, 43 yards, and 2 touchdowns there as well. After 21, the USC brought in Lincoln Riley to be their new head coach, and at that point, there everybody kind of knew that Caleb Williams was coming along. The rumor started immediately, so he transferred over to Ole Miss. In 22 was 8-5. Record overall, 13 games, 222 for 362. It's a 62.4 completion percentage, 2,974 yards, 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 128 rushes for 614 yards and 1 touchdown. That's a lot of rushing yards. First off, let me just be first to assure you guys if you can't figure that out. That's like that's like keep on 13 games is what that is. So you're talking like in NFL standards, that's like 750 rushing yards. That's a lot of rushing yards from the quarterback position. But what it tells you is he was jumpy. He's probably moving out of the pocket quickly. He wasn't quite comfortable yet doing the offense and all. Now, 23, team goes 11-2. Had a bad record. 226 for 362, so 62.4 completion percentage, 2,974 yards. 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 100. Oops, I went off to the wrong one here. Hold on. 233 for 358 for 65.1 completion percentage, 3,364 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 119 rushes for 389 yards, 8 touchdowns. You notice what happened there. Completion percentage went up, yards went up, touchdowns went up, rushing went down. That's one thing I love to see in a young quarterback. It shows me he's getting comfortable in the pocket, and he wants to be a thrower. I have no problem, guys. Again, those who watch the show on a regular basis, I got no problem with a running quarterback. But I have a problem with a run-first quarterback.
100%.
You don't win that way. You don't. And if you do, you don't win a championship usually that way. Ask Lamar Jackson. Not trying to be rude about it, just saying. You don't typically win that way. The only guy I can think of off the top of my head that I can say is a mobile quarterback that won rings. I mean, you can talk about like the guys like Patrick Mahomes, obviously, Steve Young. You can go into even Russell Wilson. But they weren't run first.
No.
The Randall Cunninghams, Michael Vicks, the Lamar Jacksons, they're fun to watch, and they're still great players. I'm not trying to knock them, but they haven't proven that you can win a championship that way yet.
No, because, I mean, a lot of defenses, like, if they know you're a run first, like, look what happened to Kaepernick when they were in the Super Bowl. They find out you're a run first. Guess what? You just kind of set a spy on the quarterback, and you shut down his game.
Yeah. Well, you also open up a receiver potentially that way as well, and that's part of the problem you run into. Is you need a guy who can take advantage of that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you run
Yeah.
first, you're not looking down the field for a receiver. Normally, you're taking the spy to take off your Y4 if they're out there, Y3,
Yeah.
and then go from there. So typically, if you get to run first, they're looking at their 1-2, and then they're going for a run.
A 1-2, a
Little
1-2.
1-2, a
What the
1-2.
heck you gonna do? Do. I got a little biscuit on my head now. Anyway, 24-9-3 record for the team. So he was 249 of 363. It's a 68.6 completion percentage, 3,875 yards, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 112 rushes, 452 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Again, completion percentage up, yards up, touchdowns up. I love seeing that. That shows me improvement over time. Now, again, his completion percentage better every year. He learned to get more comfortable in the pocket. Things that are positive that you want to see. What that tells me is he's probably coachable, and he hasn't necessarily peaked yet. I love seeing those kind of things out of a guy in a mid-round quarterback.
So let's say, especially this late.
Yeah. So here's what we also have to mention, though. This past season, much of his stats were against the worst passing defenses he faced and lower tier teams. He had 5 touchdowns against Furman. I couldn't even tell you where the hell Furman is.
Vermin, they're in the woods.
4 touchdowns against Georgia Southern. Now I can tell you where that one is. He had 6 touchdowns versus Arkansas, which is literally the worst pass defense in the entire SEC. That's 15 of his 25 touchdowns in those 3 games. That's a very high percentage there. That means the other 9 games, he did 10 touchdowns. That's a concern for me.
Yeah.
That's like saying I'm the Kayvon Thibodeau of college quarterbacks. I just beat up on crappy teams.
Which,
not to giving up on them. It's just it's an observation.
It's nice stat-wise. But when you're playing a good team, you want a quarterback that's going to throw down the field and get you some touchdowns instead of getting 57 yards.
And listen, anytime you take the worst, the weakest opponents off anybody's stat sheet, it's not going to help them, obviously. But that's a dramatic difference, guys. That's a really dramatic difference there. Here's some pros and cons that Bleacher Report gave us here on him. Possesses above average arm strength with multiple arm slots. Understanding of when to throw with use, velocity, and touch. Functional athlete with good size, build, play extender. Throws in the move and outside the pocket with a quick snapper release. Their negatives they gave: slower mental processing, reading defenses post-snap. Less than ideal anticipatory thrower from the pocket. Mechanics and throwing efficiency declines with pressure bearing down. And Ole Miss offense provides isolated QB-friendly reads, not a pro-style system. Here's my biggest concerns. If you just look at the 3 to the 4 negatives, the first 3. Slow mental processing, less than ideal anticipated thrower, mechanics and throwing efficiency declines with pressure. Who does that remind you of?
Oh, it's like a guy we just got sent over to the Vikings.
Reminds me a hell of a lot of Daniel Jones, guys. Reminds me a hell of a lot of Daniel Jones. Now, here's the differences, though, between Daniel Jones and Dart. Daniel Jones with the 6th overall pick. Dart, or somebody we're talking about getting late day 2 or early day 3. That's the difference. If you could told me, because we all flipped out, let's be very frank, we all flipped the hell out when we got with the 6th overall pick and took Daniel Jones. I wanted Allen really bad. I thought that was a slam dunk pick, and you can go get your quarterback later on. But let's say hypothetically, we had drafted Daniel Jones in the 3rd round. Would you have been upset?
No, because I mean you're paying him a lot less, and then you don't have. I mean, granted, we would have paid him, but he also probably would have asked for a lot less because if you're, your asking price is a little different.
It's not about the asking price. It's like you wouldn't have been felt forced and compelled to keep playing him. to validate your pick.
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he would have been gone long ago.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. So, like, you get it after year 3. So, you get Dave and Shane coming in here. They may have never started DJ, which means they would have never paid DJ, which means we would have talked about something else beforehand.
Yeah.
Which changes everything.
And that's why I'm saying, if he was a first-round pick, I would be so off on Dart. It's not even funny. If you're telling me I can get him late day 2, early day 3, yes. Hell's yes. If you're telling me you can get him, you're going to take him in the second round, I'm going to question that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know where he's going to go. He's going to go second, third, fourth. He's going to go somewhere in that range. It all depends on how things go and progress between now and April, obviously. You still got, another 4 months to go before this draft. But that's, again, if you can get him at the right spot and you can let him sit for a year, because, again, like they said, it's not a pro-style offense. He's in at Ole Miss. Let him sit behind somebody for a year. Next year, evaluate if you think you can start with him or if you need to go ahead and get another quarterback and he's your backup.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad move. But if you get him too early, that's where it becomes a bad move real quick, and you got Daniel Jones 2.0. That's a really bad idea.
Very bad.
Really bad.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.